The sheep is obviously deeply ingrained in Australia's culture and heritage. People went out to the Western Divisions and they saw that there was a lush green environment. Let's stick a whole lot of sheep there. So they did. Problem was, it was a fairly unusual time, and it's not normally that green. So just serendipity, the sheep really got established, which is okay, but the problem is that the very early stages did a lot of damage in terms of overgrazing, and a lot of areas of the country haven't recovered, and sheep are still the dominant domestic animal in those areas. So what we did was to start asking questions about, okay, kangaroos are the native herbivore, what is their impact on the environment? And any herbivore will overgraze if you put a high enough number of that animal in a small enough space. So I think one of the things that we've tried to be careful about is not to get trapped into the concept of the noble native animal. Kangaroos can be a problem and they can overgraze. So the point about the work now is really to start looking at, okay, how do we manage these animals in a way that avoids overgrazing? In order to do that, we need to know how much do they eat. So the first part of this work was to make the first direct comparison between the food intake of kangaroos and sheep. Graze together in a semi-arid rangeland where they have free choice on diet. We found that the kangaroos per head of animal really only eat about 30 to 40% as much as an average sheep. And as well as the food requirements, there's also the water requirements too. And we found that the sheep, when they're feeding on saltbush, they drink about 12 litres of water a day, and the kangaroo does about 1.2 litres a day. So we're slowly building a picture of the physiological requirements that these animals have in those environments, and therefore the ecological impacts that they have. I think that storytelling is really important, and it's important even now, probably even more so in my job now, that you can write a paper, but if it's boring to read, no one's going to read it. You have to tell a good story. As well as getting it out to the scientific community, it's very important that this sort of work gets out to the general public. And be that through, popular magazines or through ventures like this one, which will probably open it up to a whole different audience. It's important for people to understand where their food and their fibre and the tourist dollars, all sorts of things are tied into the environment that is in the Western Rangelands. A lot of people view the rangelands as that iconic landscape, and you see it in movies and it's in the television and it's in tourist brochures and what have you, and a lot of people see that is it's an expansive, free environment. There's no buildings, there's nothing out there. It's just landscape, and every so often you'll come across sheep.